The night was still, except for the soft hum of crickets echoing across the endless fields of golden wheat. The stars above hung heavy and bright, bathing the small farmhouse in silver light. Inside, a woman sat at her kitchen table, quietly sipping tea. Her name was Maggie Cole, a kind-faced woman in her early 40s with tired eyes, sun-kissed skin, and the kind of calm that comes from surviving more than most could imagine. She lived alone on a quiet patch of land just outside a small town in Kansas, or so everyone thought. But tonight, the calm would be broken. And those who came to harm her would learn a truth they could never have imagined. Because Maggie wasn't just a farmer. She was once the most lethal Delta Force commander in U.S. military history. Before we jump into this incredible true-to-life story of courage, compassion, and redemption, take a second to subscribe to your channel name, where we share powerful stories that touch the heart and remind you that kindness is strength. If you believe in doing good even when the world doesn't, hit the like button and tell us your thoughts in the comments below. Maggie Cole had retired from the military 5 years earlier. She had seen enough war, enough loss, enough pain to last a lifetime. So she bought a quiet piece of farmland, hoping to heal. Every morning, she'd wake up before dawn, feed her horses, and tend to her crops. She rarely spoke about her past. The locals saw her as just another quiet farmer, polite, hardworking, always ready to help when someone's tractor broke down or a storm tore through town. But not everyone saw her kindness as strength. A group of teenage boys from town, troublemakers with too much time and too little guidance, had started harassing local farmers for fun. They'd steal eggs, spray paint barns, and break fences. One of them, Tyler, was the ringleader, a big-mouthed kid who thought he was untouchable. One day, they turned their attention to Maggie's farm. At first, it was small things: tire tracks through her wheat field, missing tools, a broken window in her barn. Maggie never yelled or called the police. Instead, she fixed what was broken and carried on. She knew anger never solved much. But one night, things went too far. The boys decided to teach the old lady a lesson. They piled into an old pickup truck, laughing and shouting, carrying bats, spray cans, and firecrackers. Their plan was simple: to trash her place for fun. They didn't know that the woman they were targeting had spent 2 decades training soldiers, defusing bombs, and rescuing hostages from war zones. It was close to midnight when Maggie heard the sound of an engine roaring up her gravel driveway. Her dog, Rusty, barked furiously. She set down her cup of tea, stood, and looked out the window. Headlights. Dust. Shadows. Maggie sighed. Not in fear, but disappointment. She moved quietly through her home, flipping a small switch near the back door. Hidden floodlights around her barn and porch lit up the entire property like a stadium. The boys froze. Tyler muttered, "What the hell?" Before they could run, the front door creaked open. Maggie stepped out, calm, barefoot, wearing an old flannel shirt and jeans. Her gray hair was tied back in a loose braid. "Evening, boys," she said softly. "You lost?" Her tone wasn't angry. It was almost gentle. That made it worse. Tyler smirked, trying to play it cool. "Nah, just checking out your farm, old lady." Maggie tilted her head. "At midnight? With baseball bats?" No one spoke. Then, one of the boys, the youngest, maybe 16, shifted nervously. "Let's go, Ty. This is dumb." But Tyler wasn't done. He stepped forward, pointing his bat at her. "You think you're better than us, huh? You think you can just..." Before he could finish, Maggie moved. She didn't touch him, not yet. But in 2 steps, she was right in front of him, her eyes cold and steady. The kind of eyes that had seen war. Tyler stumbled back, his bat slipping from his hands. "Go home," she said quietly. "Before someone gets hurt." The boys scrambled back toward their truck. But Tyler, humiliated, threw one last insult over his shoulder. "Crazy old woman," he shouted, before speeding off. Maggie watched them go, then sighed again and went back inside. She didn't call the police. She didn't tell anyone. But something told her this wasn't over. A week later, they came back. This time, it wasn't just vandalism. They wanted revenge. They brought fire. When Maggie saw the glow of flames outside her barn, she didn't hesitate. The training she'd buried deep inside her came alive. She grabbed her fire extinguisher and sprinted out the door, Rusty barking at her heels. She doused the flames before they spread, but then she saw them. The boys, laughing at the edge of her field, recording her on their phones. That was the moment Maggie decided it was time to teach them what true strength looked like. Not with violence, but with kindness and consequence. The next morning, Maggie went to town and spoke to the sheriff, an old friend from her military days. Together, they identified the boys and called their parents. The parents were horrified, ashamed, and promised to make it right. But Maggie had a better idea. "Don't punish them," she said. "Let them work it off." So for the next month, those same boys came to her farm every morning at sunrise. They fixed her fences, painted her barn, hauled hay, and cleaned her stables. Maggie never yelled, never scolded. She just worked beside them, silently, patiently, showing them how to mend, not break. At first, they hated it. They grumbled, made jokes, and counted the hours. But slowly, something began to change. They started asking questions. "Why do you live alone? What's with all the medals on your wall? Were you really in the military?" Maggie answered simply. "I was a soldier once. But now, I grow food. Feeding people's a better mission." They listened. One day, when a storm tore through the fields, Maggie stayed up all night with the boys, protecting the livestock and tying down tarps. When it was over, Tyler, the ringleader, sat down beside her, exhausted and muddy. He looked at her hands, scarred and strong, then said quietly, "You could have had us arrested. Why didn't you?" Maggie smiled faintly. "Because someone once showed me kindness when I didn't deserve it either." That broke something in him. By the end of the month, the boys had changed. They came to the farm even after their punishment was over. They brought food for Rusty, helped with harvest, and ate dinner with Maggie at her worn-out kitchen table. For the first time in years, the house was filled with laughter again. And Maggie, the woman who had once seen only destruction, finally saw healing. Months later, during a town fair, Tyler stood on stage to receive a community award for youth service. He turned to the crowd and said, "There was a time I thought being tough meant hurting people. But the toughest person I ever met was the kindest. She didn't fight us with fists or anger. She fought us with patience. With grace." The crowd clapped. Maggie smiled from the back, proud but quiet, just as she'd always been. After the ceremony, Tyler walked up to her and said, "You saved my life, Miss Cole." Maggie chuckled. "No, kid. You just remembered who you were meant to be." From that day forward, Maggie's farm became a place of second chances. Teenagers who got into trouble came there to work, to learn, to grow. She never turned anyone away. Her neighbors called her the Angel of Wheatfield Road. But those who knew her story understood the truth. She was an angel forged in fire, tempered by war, and made whole by kindness. Kindness isn't weakness. It's the hardest, strongest thing a person can choose, especially when they have every reason not to. So the next time someone wrongs you, remember Maggie Cole, the soldier who laid down her weapons and chose compassion instead. Because kindness can break walls, change hearts, and heal wounds no bullet ever could. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to subscribe to your channel name, give this video a thumbs up, and share it with someone who believes in the power of goodness. Let's keep spreading kindness one story at a time.